All right, grand rising, grand arrival, grand return, peace and blessings to the righteous and the repentant alike. I am Cleopadra Sophia the Bodhi, and this is our introduction to our Red Dragon Wave spell for kin 1 through 13. This is from December 1st to December 13th, 2025. This is also known as the Dragon Genesis, the Dragon Magic Flight. This is in the red southern castle of Turning, the court of birth, which is to inform flowering of form. Chiron is at 22 and 23 degrees during these 13 days of Aries retrograde, and Cupido is at 8 degrees of Capricorn. As I mentioned, Chiron rules the smaller cycle of this actual what I call it, the Jubilee Tzolkin, right? The Tzolkin. Chiron rules the smaller cycle of the Tzolkin, the 52-year cycle, and Cupido rules the larger 260-year cycle. Okay, so Cupido is related to Jesus, right? I mentioned that, and Chiron is what they call it, the wounded healer, but it was literally the one who had a deep psychological wound that could only be healed by a deep psychological timeline. Okay, and so that's how we look at this. So I just have some basic information to share that's on the screen. Hopefully I'll be on screen for some of the other videos, but I wanted to get these videos done, and me being on screen was what was preventing that, so I decided to just remove that as a prevention and get this video done so that you guys can start to participate. Now, remember, so there's going to be every 13 days I'm going to do a overview video on this, right? This document will be in the Americana Lunar Working Group. So if you're interested in obtaining this document, it will be there. The PDF will be there once it is complete. I'm not quite done with it yet. So it's not obviously there yet by the time you guys see this, which is going to be on the 29th of November. I'm going to go ahead and put this out because we have a lot of stuff on the first. Because on the first we have our monthly invocation that I have to do, and also the calendar. I'm gonna go over the December calendar. So I'm trying to space it out a little bit so everything doesn't just come out on Monday. And so each day for the 13 days it's going to be a video, and I was hoping to make it 10 minutes, but it's probably going to be closer to 30 minutes because I want to give you as much information as possible. And then if it's too much information for you, you can watch the shorter video. So I'm going to make shorter, like 1-minute videos just giving the lay of the land like I always do, and then there'll be this longer video that will explain the things in detail. So you can watch either one, but I'm going to give you both so that there's no, I'm leaving no stone unturned, because one of the problems I had when putting this whole thing together was that it's a lot of information and it's quite complex, and I'm always nervous about giving information that's too complicated without any context. And so originally I had planned on just like not giving all the information, but this will be a lot of people's first introduction to this cycle, and I would be remiss if I did not give you all the details that I possibly can when this cycle first goes, because I may not have another opportunity to prevent the rich diversity of this information. And since I've been working on this for like 2 years now, I think it's important to give you guys the fullness of the research that you've invested in over here on this channel and invested in with me by watching my channel, so that you can see the fullness of how this can play out. Now, this can also be done obviously more simply, but I feel like that would be cheating my viewers and also cheating, those who have supported me over this time by not giving you the fullness. Okay, so I'm going to give you the fullness, and believe me, it is a lot of information. As I mentioned, the first half of this cycle is something that you're going to do alone. So we're not going to have any meetings or anything like that related to this first half of the cycle. what I'm requesting people do is observe and take notes. Okay, you'll be able to go into my group, you'll be able to ask questions, and I'll get back to them obviously as I can. But you will also be able to get this document and literally take notes on how you see these different energies showing up. So that's what I'm asking people to do. I'm asking you to write a reflection about how this energy showed up in your life. You can do this first thing in the morning for the day before. You can do it just before bed. You can do it in the middle of the day. Whatever, is the most comfortable. You don't have to take physical notes. You can use ChatGPT to talk your notes in. You can use and keep track of it that way. That's for a lot of older people. I recommend that. I'm probably just going to do voice notes myself, although I've been through this whole cycle now, so I pretty much have it down pat. So in the middle of the cycle, when we get to the 10 days of light and then the 10 days of darkness and the mystic column, that's when we're going to have meetings. Those energies are at least 3 meetings in the middle of this cycle, more like 4 or 5, because that's every week probably we'll have to have a meeting. Those energies are very, very difficult to manage, to handle, because you had to have learned this first part in order to really make sense of what's going on at that time. And we didn't do it like that. So it was extremely difficult, like learning it on the fly. So that's why I'm going to, during the mystic column and also the 10-day galactic portals, we're going to have meetings at that time, and then we'll have them periodically to the end, because that is the hardest part, getting through those 2 10-day portals and that 20-day portal. And once you get through that, you pretty much like are on solid ground. You get the energies, okay? And so you guys are going to be going into that time with more information than what we had. And that's kind of like the way that I'm handling it, okay? So the Red Southern Castle of Turning, let's talk about that first. That's where these first 13 days are. There's 5 castles altogether: red, white, blue, yellow, and green. Okay, so this is on a scale of 5. Okay, I need to go back to making scales videos. I wanted to have all those done before this, but obviously it's a lot of information and I don't want to overwhelm people, so we're going to go back into the scale slowly but surely. So when I get to the scale of 5 video, then you'll understand that's where this belongs. Okay, it's the first castle in the Tzolkin cycle and lasts for 52 days. Each of the castles lasts for 52 days, okay? It is associated with the color red, which symbolizes the energy of initiation. This means that it is a time when new ideas, new relationships, and new projects are being born. It is a time of great potential and possibility when the energy of the cosmos is aligned in a way that is conducive to new beginnings and fresh starts. The direction associated with this castle is east, which is not true, it's south, and represents new beginnings. It represents new beginnings, fresh starts, and the dawn of a new day. During this castle, it is important to be mindful of our thoughts and intentions. This is a time to focus on what we want to manifest in our lives and to take action towards those goals. It is a time to let go of any limiting beliefs or negative thought patterns that that may be holding us back. By working with this energy through ceremony, ritual, meditation, and visualization, we can tap into its power and bring about positive change in our lives. The generation of light. Fresh beginnings are in the air. Your life is a constant renewal. Innocence, curiosity, and trust in eternal wisdom are your fortes. You contribute original ideas, providing the backbone for new evolutionary cycles to unfold. Divine sparks, ideas, and visions are descending on you, forcefully seeking for expression. Your brave and innovative spirit is a delight. So that's the Red Southern Castle of Turning, okay? And form and input, that's the court of birth, which is informed flowering of form, okay? So this is the scale of 5 right here. This is the color is red. The description is initiates. The direction is south. The Tayac of Piscataway is Barakel. The wandering star is Mars. The element is fire. The corruptible thing is metal. The senses is seeing, and the torments are terrible darkness. So if you experience, again, we're in the darkest part of the year. So this is actually like, again, one of those things I can't put together. We're going into the darkest part of the year. So if you are not the light in the darkest part of the year, this time period could overtake you. This is going to be a much more energetically, how do I describe this? It's going to be a much more energetically active time than we're used to, okay? Just due to the fact that we are observing this 260-day cycle, okay? So Asael, that's who rules this cycle, or that's who's first. Why? How did I get that? I think the first day one, the energy is Asael, and that's how I got that's who's in charge. Although here it says Barakel. So we'll have to go over to my other document and look at Barakel too. Okay. Let's do that first. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Let me pull up Barakel. Let me see. Baraquel, Barakel. Alright, let me do this right now. By the time I go looking for it, I'll forget. You know. There we go. Let me see. This is the beginning. I'm missing something. Hold on. Let's see if Barakel is on here. The Baria will be red. Yep, Barakel is on here too. This make my life easier anyway because I will forget why I did all of this. This is lunar elements and moon mansions. Let me put that here. Actually, I don't have it set up to actually like do this. So again, here we go. This is what I wanted. Barakel. Is Barakel on here? Barakel's not on here. Okay, because it's with the lunar mansions. Okay, so let's talk about Barakel. Barakel is the gleaming sword of God. That's what it means. And it's the law of man. And it teaches oppression. Barakel is this 14 is the lunar mansion. Right? Yeah, because it's right there too. So it rules from 17 degrees of Virgo to 0 degrees of Libra. It's funny because when Mars goes retrograde it starts its retrograde cycle at the end of 2026. It's going to be hitting this 17 degrees of Virgo, okay? That's the gleam, again, Barakel, the gleaming sword of God. And I describe it as sacred geometry or the fruit of life. And it's opposite of Chaftiel, which is the light of God, and that is actual fruit, which goes from 12 degrees of Cancer to 25 degrees of Cancer, also where Mars headed retrograde last year. So this is why this is crazy. Like I can't make this stuff up. I know people think that I'm like making it up, but there's no way I could make this up, y'all. This is crazy. So Barakel is associated with a moon mansion, a lunar mansion, which is why it's not associated with a a solar seal, okay? And so we'll talk about the solar seals when we get into the days, because there's 20 solar seals and there's 13 tones. And 16 of the solar seals are associated with the Der Kadeshi, and then 4 of them are associated with the Air Kadeshi. So it's a mixed group of, when you come to the solar seals, you use both, okay? And it's interesting because it's the some Yugan, the shepherd god, is affiliated with, and he's affiliated specifically with the number 14 and Ezobar. So let's just do a little, let me go over here and see if I can pull up Ezobar, and at least read it to you. What is that guy's name? It's a shepherd god, Some Yugan. Hold on, let me look up Some Yugan. Here we go. Lunar Mansion 14. Alright, so Some Yugan, alright, is a shepherd god, worshipped in Mesopotamia and ancient Syria. He was associated with the animals. So this is the guy who's over these 13 days, okay? This is just the introduction. So this energy, this shepherding energy, should be coming up over the next 13 days. Okay, he was associated with various quadrupeds, especially donkeys or alternatively sheep. In Elba, he was associated with mules. In literary texts, he was also tasked with caring for their habitat and plants growing there. In some texts, his epithet is shepherd of everything. Other epithets include god of wool, god of herd animals, god of grass-eating animals, and god of watering places. He was regarded as responsible for prosperity and agricultural fertility, often in connection with grain deities such as Izina, or beer deities such as Ninkasi. Okay, the name could also be metaphorically applied to a stallion of a herd, due to the association between the steppe, where he was believed to dwell, and the netherworld. He sometimes appears in connection with the latter. Texts attesting this connection include the Poem of Death of Gilgamesh and a number of incantations. His main attribute was a ram-headed crook. Another of his attributes was likely a fleece. Okay, the number 14 was regarded as connected to him, though it was also associated with Nergal. Okay, this is about his cult, association with other deities. Okay, but this is good enough. So that is our man Some Yugan. I'm going to put this in here so you guys can refer back to this. I just didn't put it on here first because it's a little bit difficult to read, because of the way I have it. This will be a very, very interesting reading. What's the name for y'all? Okay. And what is it? Ezobar, I think. All right. All right, Ezobar. Hold on. Okay, pardon me. All right, Ezobar. Let's read about Ezobar. Okay. All right, the 14th head of the moon sphere can be of great value to the spiritualite, inasmuch he can reveal to him the secrets of creating within himself without difficulties the most diverse esoteric and spiritual faculties by the help of moon spirituality, which later may possibly be also applied in other spheres. The spiritualite is at the same time taught the polarization of powers, furthermore how to bring about in a certain way the levitation of himself and other people, or even other objects, by force of Kabbalistic moon spirituality, by change of polarity and gravity. The spiritualite also learns how to acquire the faculty of interpreting symbols that he sees in the moon sphere by force of clairvoyance. Ezobar teaches the spiritualite to comprehend them practically. Ezobar therefore is rightly called a marvelous initiator into Kabbalistic moon spirituality. This definitely has to do with the Tzolkin, okay? Let me also throw this here so we have it all together. Told y'all it's a lot of information. All right, so I'll clean it up. It's going to be cleaned up by the time you get it. That's why it's not going to be ready probably until at least the first day, because I got to go through and clean up all of my notes. All right, so let's talk about Asael. That's the one that's associated with this, because it is also during this time period. It is also during this is the first one, okay? And this is really interesting because we talked about I'm going to share the video when I was talking about the your pantheon, and how that that God Iseer, I just re-listened to that video. That's the only reason why I can pull this up. How I talked about this particular God. So what this God is. So Asael is God has made. It's affiliated with meteor iron. I say that it's associated with idols, like idols you would make of iron, right? And it teaches war. So it is first. What is this? This is the tone, right? Hold on. Yeah, these are the tones. I need to write down what this is so I can refer back to it, because I have no notes here. Tones. All right, this is the first tone, okay? And we are going to talk about all of the tones affiliated with all the days like this. This is just the first one. So you'll see as we go along, okay? So the tone one is it's called the Red Dragon. It's Asael, right? It's associated with the south, and the god is Vitra, and that's the dragon god. So we're going to read about that and also its other names. Okay, Asiel, which is created by God, okay? So here we have, it says God has made, created by God. So we know that is the actual meaning of the word, okay? And this word is found in the Bible. So that's another thing that I wanted to go through as we talk about this, because all these quote unquote fallen watchers, they're all in the Bible, like as different entities, all right? So a Simeonite whose descendant Jehu lived in the reign of Hezekiah. That's in 1 Chronicles 4:35. One of the 5 swift riders whom Esdras was commanded to take to write the law and the history of the world. That's in 2 Esdras 14:24. The original word in Hebrew, which I can't pronounce, obviously, is Asiel. Asiel. Part of speech is proper name masculine. Transliteration is Asiel. Pronunciation is Asiel. Phonetic spelling Asiel. Okay. Word origin is from the Hebrew to do and God. Made of God, obviously, and Asiel Israelite. So name and theological overtones. I thought this would be interesting. The name Asiel carries the idea that God himself is the active agent in creation and history, an emphasis that resonates throughout the Simeonite genealogy in which it appears. The chronicler weaves the theme of divine agency into a seemingly routine family record to affirm that every generation is sustained by the Lord's hand. I need to read the Testament of Simeon. Biblical occurrence and immediate context. 1 Chronicles 4:35 is the sole biblical occurrence. Jehu, son of Joshibiah, the son of Sariah, the son of Asiel, and that's the Berean Standard Bible. This verse stands in the middle of a detailed roster of Simeonite clans, 4:24 through 43. 4 generations are traced through Asiel, culminating in the leaders who spearheaded the tribe's southward expansion and the settlement in the days of Hezekiah. Tribal and historical significance. Simeonite distinctiveness. Originally allotted towns inside of Judah's territory, which is in Joshua 19, 1-9, Simeon risked absorption. By listing ACL, the scripture attests that the tribe remained identifiable and fruitful. Their families had increased greatly. 1 Chronicles 4:38. Territorial expansion. ACL's descendants joined the 500 Simeonite warriors who struck the Amalekite remnant in Seir and occupied the land to this very day. 4:43. This line thus helped fulfill Israel's covenant mandate to possess the land. Chronicles theology. The chronicler's inclusion of peripheral tribes like Simeon underscores the unity of all Israel under God's covenant, temple worship, and Davidic rule. Okay. Genealogical function. Validation of leadership. By naming ACL, the chronicler traces the authority of later clan chiefs to a legitimate ancestor. Number 2, testimony of providence. 4 generations span an otherwise silent historical period, illustrating God's quiet preservation by his people. Number 3, covenant continuity. Despite Simeon's earlier decline, Numbers 1 and Numbers 26, the genealogy anchored in ACL shows the renewed multiplication and blessing. Spiritual ministry lessons. Hidden yet significant. A single mentioned individual reminds believers that God values every faithful life, even when unnoticed by history. Generational impact. ACL's unseen influence shaped leaders who advance God's purposes. Parents and mentors today shape future gospel laborers. Bold obedience. The military and pioneering exploits of ACL's line call the church to be courageous. Advancement of the gospel into unreached fields. Structured leadership. The Simeonite chiefs are mentioned by name, 4:38, illustrating transparent, accountable leadership beneficial for any ministry. Intertextual echoes. Psalm 127:1. Unless the Lord builds this house, ACL, okay, its builders labor in vain, echoing the divine action implied by ACL's name. Genesis 49:5-7. Jacob foretells Simeon's scattering. ACL's lineage shows God's preserving the tribe among Judah while granting new territories. 1 Peter 2:5. Believers are being built into a spiritual house, mirroring the motif of God as builder behind ACL's name. Okay, so now let's talk about Vitra, right? Literal translation is enveloper, is a Devana. He serves as a personification of drought and is an adversary of the king of the Devas, Indra. As a Devana, he belongs to the race of Asuras. Vitra is also known in the Vedas as Ahi, or snake. He appears as human-like serpent, blocking the course of the Rig Vedic, and is slain by Indra with his newly formed Vajra. Vagina? Anyway, according to the Rig Veda, Vritra kept the waters, or which is the water, of the captive until he was killed by Indra, who destroyed all the 99 fortresses of Vritra, although the fortresses are sometimes attributed to Sambara before liberating the imprisoned rivers. Let me stop and mention this. 99 is the number of the names of Allah. Okay, so I don't know if Vritra was who Allah was invoking or what, but that's very, very specific. And I recently saw one of these what did I call them? I don't know, the Hebrew natives, I mean not the Hebrew, the Muslim natives, I can't remember what Solans, right? The Solans. I recently saw one of these Solan people say, oh, Allah loves to be called by his 99 names. Like, wait a minute now. Do you even know what they mean? And I just, I listen to what people say and I put it aside because I don't want to get involved in it. And here we go. This is what it means. They're talking about these 99 fortresses of Vitra that were destroyed by Indra. Okay? Let me keep going. The combat began. Do I have a beginning and no end? Y'all know I hate. Let me just. Okay. The combat began soon after Indra was born, and he was and he consumed a large volume of soma at Shasvati's house to empower him before facing Vitra. Tavashtri fashioned the thunderbolt Vajrayuda for Indra, and Vishnu, when asked to do so by Indra, made space for the battle by taking 3 great strides, for which Vishnu became famous. 3 great strides. That's interesting. And was later adapted in his legend of Vamana. Vitra broke Indra's 2 jaws during the battle, but was then thrown down by Indra. In falling, crushed the fortresses that had already been shattered. For this feat, Indra became known as Vatran, slayer of Vitra, and also slayer of the firstborn of dragons. Vitra's mother, Danu, who was also the mother of the Devana race of Asuras, was then attacked and defeated by Indra with his thunderbolt. So very Zeus-like, okay, Indra is. In one of the versions of the story, the 3 devas, Varuna, Soma, and Agni, were coaxed by Indra into aiding him in the fight against Vitra, whereas before they had been on the side of Vitra, whom they called their father. Okay? Very weird. This is a weird story. And also, hold on one second. I thought I had to get up. But I did not. I have this story here about the drought, and I had looked into it. So let me see what other notes I have on this, because it might be relevant. Because I've already done some work with these 13-day cycles, and I remember that was one. Oh no. Let me put this over here away from where I'm doing this. Just give me 1 minute. Here we go. The spirit of famine, okay, is Raab in Hebrew and Lyman in Greek, means port, harbor, haven, is synonym for agora, which is assembly or market. Something for lake, as in lake of fire, which really refers to the southwestern wind and liberation from torture through the south, or notice. The southern wind god, and Zephyrus, the west wind. So that's the spirit of famine. So they're talking about this guy, Vitra. Okay. Because there's in the scale of 11, which we haven't talked about, it talks about the famines associated with. So Vitra is one of the entities associated with the scale of 11. Let me write this down. I need something to write with. I didn't know I'd be taking this many notes, but this is one of the reasons why I was like, oh, I should make this easy. But no, like, we have to get back into research. So I need to write this down. Vitra is a scale of 11. All right, that's another entity associated with that. All right, especially since he broke his 2 jaws. That seems like a very specific detail. Okay, so this is the last part of this video. I know I feel like it was a little bit rambly, but it's okay. All right, so we have Chiron that's going to be at 22 and 23 degrees of Aries, and these are the Kosminski symbols associated with that. So 22 degrees. Oh, should I get the entities too? Hold on, I didn't think about that. Where are they at? Let me minimize that. I don't know why I didn't even think about that. That's really... Did I even finish it? I don't think I finished it. We need Aries. 22 and 23 degrees of Aries. I might have to look for it elsewhere. Let me see. Yeah, I took it out. I made it as a separate document. Hold on one moment. No. That is not what I'm looking for. Let me see. I took it out because I was having such a hard time dealing with all of this stuff in one place. It was like a mess. Desktop. Did I finish this? I was trying to copy and paste it back in. I think I did finish it. Yeah, because these symbols by themselves is 132 pages, and I was trying to put this into the larger document, and that did not work so well. It was kind of a disaster. So let me just grab, and I forgot all about it until just now. What I say, 22 and 23? What? Why did it do that? Oh, God. Please don't be messing with me. Let me put that in here so we can refer to it. Actually, this is helping because I need to really, and I need Capricorn, which is down here. I need Capricorn. That's Sagittarius. Okay. Well, I say 8 degrees of Capricorn. It'll be next. 4, 5, 6, 8. All right. We can read the intelligence that's assigned with this too, because we're going to bring them all together. All right. So let's start with 22 degrees of Aries. And that's let me read this. Oh, I have it all in here. Okay, I don't have to do it like that. Okay, so the symbol is a pilgrim crossing himself in front of an ancient temple, an overdressed official and a soldier mocking him. Denotes a devout person who will be subjected to many trials and taunts in life, but who will, in the strength of his faith, overcome them all. He comes from the masses rather than from the classes, and his sympathy will ever be with the struggling people of the nations. From officialdom and materialism, he receives scant courtesy. It is a symbol of faith. And so this spirit intelligence is Bakaro. By this intelligence, the magician is endowed with the knowledge and wisdom of the zone girdling the earth, which only a few beings of that sphere are able to do. Bakaro has a specially high interest for justice and harmony, and therefore is also able to assist the magician in the physical world in cases where justice is involved. Let me turn. I can't see it. Yeah, I'm already a little blind, and this is like tiny. Where justice is involved, either in legal matters or in situations of life. Spirits of the storm and salamanders are very much afraid of him, since he is capable of revealing to the magician formula by the application of which strong electrical elemental effects can be brought about in the fire region of the zone girdling the earth, which the most Bakaro salamander spirit instantly makes submissive. If Bakaro places any being of the salamander kingdom at the magician's disposal, such as a spirit being of high intelligence, understanding, and cleverness, will render the magician loyal service. Okay, I don't know why I had such a hard time reading this. Okay, so 23 degrees of Aries. The symbol is a king absorbed in flatteries of a courtier whose mistress is stealing important documents from a drawer. Denotes one who is ready to delude himself and to live in an insincere atmosphere of adulation and deception without accomplishing anything of particular merit. He accepts praises from flattering parasites. Lord, thus he is lulled into a sense of false security and loses those things which are truly of worth. It is a symbol of entrapping. The spirit intelligence is Belfair's. This head, like the two foregoing ones, is superior to the others in wisdom, cleverness, sagacity, and he teaches the magician to apply the laws of the zone girdling the earth by the Akasha principle to realize them in the physical world. Belfair's is always willing to help the magician in any respect. So basically, you have to actually do the work. Like, there is no, like, 23 degrees of Aries is you have to do the work. Because if you don't do the work, you're going to be deluded. That's basically what I'm seeing here. All right, so let's look at Cupido is going to be at 8 degrees of Capricorn, so let's look at the symbol here. A woman looking on an empty cradle in an attitude of deep grief, the figure of a child near her surrounded by a bright light striving to pierce the gloom of her atmosphere. Denotes one whose life will be one of experience and who will suffer greatly through ignorance of certain knowledge, which would free him if he knew it. He should try and comprehend that the deeper the expressed grief, the harder it is for the truth to be known. The blacker the darkness, the greater the danger into which he may walk. It is a symbol of admonition. So this is not good. And the spirit intelligence is Pormato. I don't think we worked with this one before. This spirit intelligence is in charge of all earth radiation in our physical world. The magician is told by this head which earth rays he can use for his and other people's benefit and which have harmful influence on one's health. He also informs him how to protect himself against the malicious influence of earth rays. Apart from this, technology is indebted to this head for the inspiration in respect of all apparatuses which have so far come in use for measuring the earth rays of all kinds. And what are earth rays, right? Just in case you don't know, right? What is an earth ray? An earth ray is basically like a solar flare, or like we just had this huge, I talked about it in my conversation with Crypto, we had this huge solar storm that basically cleaned out the ionosphere, and so the scientists are all freaking out. But the ionosphere is supposed to be cleaned out. Like, everything has to be renewed and refreshed, and so by cleaning out the ionosphere, now we're going to have better access to the rays coming in. So all this sky spraying and all this weird stuff they've been doing trying to keep us from the skies is really just going to backfire on them. That's what I'm seeing. So yeah, these are two energies are the ones that are affiliated with the next 13 days. So again, this it's called the Red Dragon Wave Spell. That's the first one. It's kin 1 through 13. So every day we're going to go over each of the kin in about just as much detail. Hopefully we don't have to go through as much detail, but once we do it once, it'll be easier for me to put out these documents. The first couple weeks are going to be rough, so these might not be done before the end of the 13 days, and so you'll have to forgive me because this is a lot of information, and I'm trying to make it, again, as accessible as I can, as comprehensive as I can, because this is a lot of people's first introduction to the Tzolkin, and I want you guys to have a really, really good experience with this information. It's just going to take me a little bit of time to put it all together. I have been working on it, but I also have had to work, and I'm doing my fundraiser, and so it's a lot of stuff going on, so I haven't been able to give this the attention that I desire. But anyway, it's fine, because once it's all done, then you'll have this whole basically book on this wave spell, and that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this and turn it into some kind of a book on this particular wave spell. Now, I don't know where we are in the larger cycle. I'm still doing research on that, because again, the way that the Mayan quote-unquote ancestors count this stuff is not correct. Something is wrong, and that's because we have access to new technology, and therefore we should use the new technology. But a lot of these people are tied into their old ways because they don't actually understand it. So I'm fairly certain I'm the only person on earth who even understands this, what is actually going on. I know I'm the only person who connected it with Chiron and Cupido, because they say, the Mayans, they say that this Tzolkin cycle is not even connected with astrology, which sounds insane. It's like, well, how is one part of the creator not going to be connected with another part of the creator? You guys are like not like using your brains, you know, not to be mean about this. So this is my introduction to the Red Dragon Wave spell. I hope it was helpful. You'll start seeing the videos going up every day. They're not going to be as, there's going to be, the longer video is going to come out at 1 a.m. Eastern time, and the short video is going to come out at 6 a.m. Eastern time to accommodate anyone who is following along with us from overseas. So I know by 6 a.m. that's almost like the afternoon for most people overseas. So I'm gonna do the longer version earlier in the day, and like I said, about 1 a.m. Eastern time, and then at 6 a.m. Eastern time, that's when I'm gonna do my short 1-minute video that'll just go over the basics, which I'm still working on. Okay, so we're gonna have one for every day. Hopefully they'll be on time. That's what I'm working on now. So shalom, peace and blessings, and we'll see you in the next video.